So the last video you guys saw was this whole area here just devastated by the worms, caterpillars. So what I did is I redoubled my efforts on actually watering and actually treated these plants here. And then of course I have this over to help keep the worms out however they get in there. I'm thinking some of the worms are in the soil, somehow they come up and start eating. I don't know. There are a few in here still. But what I'm going to do is in just a minute I'll do a bit of a close-up here so you guys can see a few of the holes that are still here from some of the worms. I did spray these plants with a little 7, the powder, so that helped a lot. So you can see by comparison to the last video, these are exactly the way I wanted them. They're growing really nicely. As a matter of fact, they are big enough for me to harvest a bit of them so I can go ahead and dry them out and start using them as tea. So what I'll do is I will do a little bit of a close-up so you can see some of this, and then I'll harvest a bit. So I'll take these and let them dry. Then the remaining roots, I'll let those grow and we'll do it again because I want to go ahead and start the harvesting process now, and maybe a month later I can do more and I can build up my tea collection. And of course, once again, I'm here with the airplanes flying over. And also, since this is the 4th of July right now when I'm recording this, you'll probably hear fireworks in the background and things like that. But hey, this is when I've had the time, so I had to do it now because, of course, it's off to work tomorrow. So anyway, that's what's going to happen. I'm going to show this process and then I'll shoot around the garden a little bit to show you the other things I planted and how it's doing, because I have cucumbers over there. I have my my herb plant here that I dried this and put it with this for little medicinal purposes. So I'll do that also. I won't be harvesting any of this today because it's still pretty small, so I'm going to let that grow a little bit more and get that going. So that's what we have. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and grab the camera. So all in all, these mint plants are looking really, really good. I'm going to stay with the system and the process of keeping them watered and keep watching out for the bugs, and we'll keep this thing going. Okay, so I was telling you guys before is that I have the plants growing like I want, but I have a few worms here still, so you can see the holes in here where the worms are getting in here. They're here, they're actually over here, and there are a couple other spots around here like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take some of the stems off so I can dry them out and use them for tea. Once I do that, I can treat for the worms better, put my cage back on the top of it, and then I can start the process all over again, because I want to start harvesting these every month or so as they get about this height or a little bit bigger, so that I can get more tea to start drying it. So I'm going to go ahead and start harvesting some of these leaves, or stems rather, so that I can start drying them out. And I have a few rubber bands that I'm going to put around them because I'm just going to let these naturally dry, and we'll get the whole process of the tea growing, or actually drying out. And that is what we're going to do here. Now this plant behind me, I'll show you that in a minute. I'm not going to take any from that just yet because it's still pretty new, or pretty young rather, and I want to let that grow a little bit bigger so that I can get even more out of that. So this is the process that I just used, and I'll put a rubber band around them, like I said, to let them just hang dry. Once they get dry, I'll crumple them, pull them off the stems, and that will be the start of my tea. And of course, as I'm going, I have to shake these because if there's worms on them, hopefully they'll just fall off, and I'll go through them a little bit better later so that I can make sure that everything has been taken off as far as the worms go, because they do hide in there and they will fall off as we get going. So I'm going to take most of the large ones here, and that will stimulate new growth, and that's how we're going to do this thing. So this is quite a bit here, so that'll give me a good little chunk. So this is actually the sweet mint. So once I get a little bit more of this, I'll go to the other sections of mint and get some of those. And this is the process that I'm using. Of course, I'm sure other folk do it differently, but I find doing it this way works best for me. See, there's a worm here that's been hanging out eating my mint. So this is what I normally do to them. I either squish them or I take them in the back and give them to my chicken. Chickens are always happy when you give them treats like that. So as you can see, the worms are here. But we are going to do our best to make sure that we get rid of the remainder of them. Good. So thus far, there's one more. There's a worm right here. So we're gonna stomp him out. So thus far that's 2, so that's not too bad. So I think I'm gonna leave the rest of those. So what I'll do is I'll take my trusty little rubber band here and I'll just put these together. Now I can hang those up and let them dry, and we will be good. Yeah, that's a pretty nice bunch of sweet mint right there. So I'll go on to the next batch, which is the spearmint. So I'll start that in a second. Okay, so right now we are at the spearmint batch. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these back so that we can do the same thing as I did just a second ago with the sweet mint. And I really like doing my own tea. I don't drink a whole lot, but I like it better than actually buying it because I can grow it. And if you can grow something, why not? And since this is growing quite well, it's a perfect time to harvest before it gets too big. And I actually want to be able to start treatment all over again so I can keep these worms in check to make sure that they are not eating all of the leaves. Of course, it's growing so well, I'm sure they're not going to be able to eat it all because I'm watering the way I'm supposed to, and I'm actually giving a little fertilizer also so that it will continue to grow the way it should. And as I said before when the video first started, looks like I got my mojo back. Normally doing this, I don't take the time that I'm supposed to water and stay on top of the way I'm supposed to, which is why the worms came in so heavy the last time and just decimated my whole crop. So now that I've gotten back on top of it a bit, fortunately there aren't any in this bunch, so that's a good thing. Okay, so that is my spearmint, and you can see here there are a few leaves in this batch also that has the markings of worm activity. So thus far nothing has fallen out of here, and that smells really good. Yeah, that's nice. That's really nice. I like that.